Let's bring in Dan Orlovsky. Covers football for ESPN, one of our favorite analysts. What do you make of this story there that Brady and Gronk almost had a pit stop in Las Vegas? Therefore, John Gruden now getting credit for 2 Super Bowls for Tampa, one when he was a coach, and the fact that he didn't sign Tom and Gronk and let him go to Tampa.
What a wild story. It's interesting because everything you ever heard about John Gruden is his favorite quarterback is the next one. And the fact that if there is validity to the story that, he had the opportunity to not only bring Brady in, but also with Gronk is shocking that he would not have had that come on board. I would love to hear Mike Mayock's opinion on it too, because Mike was running the team as a general manager at least. So, Tampa Bay's benefit. Do I think that Brady would have won the Super Bowl in Las Vegas like he did in Tampa? No, because that roster wasn't nearly as good. But I mean, that's shocking that he didn't take advantage of that.
But that means Brady, when he was referring to you're going to stay with that MFer, it's Derek Carr. That makes sense?
Yeah, sure. I think every quarterback outside of like maybe a handful, probably can kind of be called or referenced that by Brady and not take offense to it. So if he was saying it about like Rodgers or something, it's probably different connotation. But Derek Carr, while being really good, Tom Brady, obviously a massive upgrade.
Full introduction here for Dano. Tonight, Falcons, Jets close out week 2 of the preseason. Dan, Louis Riddick, Steve Levy, Laura Rutledge on the call. That's at 8 Eastern on ESPN. You can also catch Dan on NFL Live weekdays at 4 Eastern. You're all in on the Denver Broncos.
I have been. There's a reason why, Dan. So do you remember about, 16 months ago now, the 2021 draft day, Adam Schefter comes on NFL Live. Aaron Rodgers reportedly unhappy in Green Bay, wants out. And so live TV, you're like, man, blah, 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 blah. Okay, where? And I immediately was like, the Denver Broncos. They got a defense that's top 5. They got really good, young, talented, skill position people. It's a roster that if the quarterback goes there, they could be a really good team. Well, obviously, Rodgers stays in Green Bay. Russell gets traded, and it's still very much so a similar situation. This is a defense that's got the talent to be a top 10 unit if Bradley Chubb stays healthy, on the outside with the addition of Randy Gregory. So they got 2 guys that are high-end, potentially elite pass rushers. They got a secondary that is awesome, led by Patrick Surtain Jr. So you're sitting there defensively, that's a top 10 defense. And then offensively, the skill talent offensively, really, really good. Better. I don't want to say the skill talent is better than what Russell had in Seattle, but it's not all that far off. And then Nathaniel Hackett brings over this offensive scheme that, has really taken the league by storm in the last 2 years. And that's the Mike Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan, offensive scheme that's built on the run game and everything looking the same. And my point is, you got a top 10 defense and you got an offensive situation. Russell Wilson's never had both really good skill talent and really good offensive scheme at the same time. And I think that we're in this era in the NFL a little bit where teams defensively are going to force you to play the way that you don't want to necessarily, with the whole too high shell, Patrick Mahomes. I think they're the one offense in that division that I feel really good because of the scheme to sit there and say, listen, if teams are going to force you to run it 40 times, they are willing and able to run it 40 times to win games. And I don't feel that way about the Chargers because I've never seen it. I don't feel that way about the Chiefs because I've seen them not do it. And I don't feel that way because of the offensive line about Las Vegas.
But somebody's going to be a disappointment then in the AFC West.
Yeah.
What team?
I think that I do not expect the Raiders to be a playoff team. I think that the Raiders are going to be really good offensively, but I do believe the back end of their defense will kind of be the fall off of their team. I think that it could be that division that gets 3 teams into the playoffs. I'm still really, really, really high on the Chiefs. But my thing on the Chiefs would be this. They, I think more than anybody, maybe them in Green Bay, are going to be so dependent on their rookies playing really, really high-end football. I mean, McDuffie, their corner, who's either going to play outside or nickel inside, is going to have to play high-end ball because Tarvarius Ward went to San Francisco, who is their best cover guy. Okay, I'm not discrediting Tyrann Mathieu not being there. I know Justin Reed's going to be really good, but he was the leader of their defense. Yeah. They don't have two edge rushers. George Karlaftis is going to have to be like TJ Watt, essentially. And I don't know if he's going to be that guy, So while I'm really high on the Chiefs still, I just don't – I think that I like the Broncos' defense better.
It's been a while since we've had a repeat champion. You have to go back to the Patriots in 2003. The reason why the Rams will not repeat is?
The secondary won't be as tied to the front as they have been. 2 years ago, Aubrey Pleasant was their defensive backs coach. He's no longer there. He wasn't there last year either, but they were really good tying their coverage to their front. That was really good pass rush wise. His departure, Williams at corner's departure is going to stress some of their younger players in the secondary. Vaughn not being there is a loss. I still believe that they are the team to beat along with the Buffalo Bills for the Super Bowl. But if they don't, it'll be because that unit isn't as connected and tied together as they were last year, especially in the playoffs.
Tom Brady missing a little more than a week of practice reps. What kind of impact could that possibly? I'm looking at the schedule to start the season. I mean, nobody starts the season with a tougher schedule than Tampa Bay, but football-wise, how do you think, or this could affect Brady getting ready for the season?
I think it's a bigger deal than it would have ever been because of the issues on their offensive line inside right now. That was the story going into this season with them is, okay, well, both guards are gone. Let's not pretend that that's not a big deal. And then our center tears his ACL. That's a huge deal for every quarterback. I don't care if you're the greatest of all time. Now the guy who's competing for the left guard job tears his ACL. So the depletion of the health and the depth and the high-end performance from their offensive interior unit line-wise has been decimated. And the constant that Brady has had in Tampa Bay has been those five guys up front. It's the most they've played the most games together in the NFL over the last 2 years. All we've done is picked that apart. And I think the issue is this pass game has to be different now because you can't just assume that we're going to play the same offense that we were going to in May with all those departed pieces and now injuries. And the easy answer is going to go, well, Tom will get the ball out of his hands now. Well, then you're asking for guys like Mike Evans and Julio Jones to be yards after the catch guys. They're like, take the short throw and make it into the long one. That's not who they are. Certainly that's not who Mike is. And it's not who Julio is at his age right now. And I think like Tom trying to figure out the communication with those guys up front, the feel with those guys up front, them trying to learn Tom a little bit, get on his same page where he likes to be in the pocket versus certain fronts and what's the play call and what's the drop. And there's a lot that goes into it. And for them not to have that with all these new pieces, man, it's a big, big deal.
How often do you fall in love during preseason? I fell in love again with Tyler Huntley.
Yeah.
I like him. When he comes in, he makes plays, and then I have to almost smack myself into reality and say, no, the Ravens have a starting quarterback, and he's going to be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, and Tyler Huntley. Yeah. How many times do you do that in the course of a preseason?
Yeah, probably more in the past than I do now. I was having a conversation with Daniel Jeremiah about this, obviously NFL Network and Draft Superstar, all that. And he said something to me that kind of really changed my thought process. He was like, listen, this is the preseason. Most of these guys should be playing relatively well, especially even nowadays because of the way practice is structured. A lot of these games are after you practicing with teams or against teams for a couple of days. So you have an even greater feel of what guys are and what they want to do. So he was like, I don't ever try to get overly excited about guys performing well because it's good to see. But I think it's fair to be concerned if guys are playing poorly. And I think that's kind of the mindset that I've tried to adopt a little bit is, and I've said this, like I've had preseason games where, I went 11 of 12 for 110 yards and a touchdown. I'm like, well, what else do you need to see? I've had games when I've been 5 of 14 for 42 yards and interception. So, it's always good to see guys playing well, but I think it's to temper the expectation of thinking it's an easy transition from going, this player plays good in the preseason to thinking he's going to do that in the regular season over the course of 17 games.
I always wonder this, that it feels like you have to be talented to get to the NFL to play quarterback. Now, we have varying degrees of talent. Somebody showcases legs, somebody's got a really strong arm. Maybe you get the combo platter there. But let me look at you and look at Tom Brady. You're a better athlete than Tom Brady. You're faster. You're faster.
I ran a 6.2 in the 40 my sophomore year of high school. So our speed is probably relatively similar.
Damn.
Yeah.
Man, I'm sorry.
I ever tell you that I've never shared this with you? I'll make it quick because I know time is a thing, but this is when I got my first scholarship offer. I'm a junior in high school. It's spring football. And I'm running right in the world of like a 5'5", 5'6", when I'm working out with my dad, training all that stuff. And I know I'm dead slow. So Randy Edsel was the head coach at UConn at the time. I did not have any offers at the time. Recruiting's happening. Wants to come to my spring practice. And he's like, hey, before practice, I want to time you in the 40. So I immediately know if I go run 5'5" for UConn, I'm not getting a scholarship offer. And if I don't get offered by UConn, I'm not getting offered by anybody, right? So forgive me here. I was a 16-year-old junior in high school, whatever. So we're down on the track where our field is, and our practice fields are up top. And I'm running pre-Edsel getting there, and it's 5'5", 5'6" with my dad. I'm like, God bless, dude. This is going to be awful. So Coach Edsel shows up, and we're on the straightaway of the track, and his entrance to the field is here. So he shows up. I've got a cone here and a cone here, right? 40 yards measured out. My dad goes over to see him, and I'm on the back end, the finish point of the 40, and I see Coach Edsel and my dad talking. And in the moment, I'm like, dude, I got to do something. So I walk up to a cone, the finish line cone, and kick it forward like 3 or 4 yards. Honest to God story, 3 or 4 yards. Coach Edsel, what's up? Nice to meet you, all that stuff. I want to see you run the 40. I run the 40. Take off, 4.8. I run a 4.8 and like a 36. Edsel watches practice. I run 140. He comes up, watches practice, offers me after practice, and the thing takes off from there. So that's how I cheated to get my first scholarship offer in the 40. So,
but if you don't get UConn, you're not playing in the NFL. You might not even be right here.
100%. Yeah. Because if UConn wasn't going to offer me, then, no other bigger schools were going to offer me. So,
oh, man. See, kids, this is a teaching moment.
Do what you got to do.
You can make your dreams come true by cheating people and deceiving them. And Dan, you've done a great job in doing that. I like you more. I can relate to you. Here, I thought you were a great athlete.
No. I ran, I think my vertical at the combine was like 27 inches. So I was a good athlete, pick up a ball, be good at anything, but very unathletic.
How would you do? Could Kyler Murray beat you running backwards if you ran for? Yeah,
easily. My daughter, I'm dead honest. My daughter is 6, and she's a good. She could beat me in a race easily. Yeah.
Could Louis Riddick beat you in a race right now?
How long's the race?
40. 36 yards.
No,
36 yards.
No. I'm not going to give. I will give Louis this. Louis fit like 53 years old. He looks like he's 43, but he's 53 years old. Yeah. I think I could take him.
What about Laura Rutledge?
No, God, no. She'd get hurt.
The game is tonight. It's the Falcons and the Jets closing out week 2. Coverage begins at 8 Eastern on the mothership. Great to talk to you, Dan. Thank you.
Thanks, Legend. Appreciate you, bud.
That's Dan Orlovsky. More phone calls coming up. We're back after this Dan Patrick Show.